Good morning on this chilly but beautiful day. This morning I was reading in Genesis 42 with my kids, and I read this part where it said, where the brothers have come to Joseph because there's the famine, and the brothers say to them, to Joseph, from Canaan, they said, "We've come to buy food." Joseph knew who they were, but they didn't know who he was. And Joseph, remembering the dreams he had dreamed of them, said, "You're spies." Now, I was explaining to the kids that at this point, the brothers have come and they're bowing down to him, and they have no idea who he is. And Joseph, now 17, 18 or 19 years later, remembers back to when he was a 17-year-old and having that dream of the wheat sheaves bowing down and going, oh, this is that moment. And that realization, you wonder if he suddenly twigs and goes, crikey, I was sold as a slave, I was put in prison, I was a servant, all that difficulty to get to this point. And at the time, as a 17-year-old, it was something I didn't really understand. But now, older and wiser, I understand God's plan for me. And then later again, it talks about when Joseph throws these brothers into jail, and I was reading to my kids, and then they say, well, now we're paying for what we did to our brother. We saw how terrified he was when he was begging for mercy, and we wouldn't listen to him, and now we're the ones in trouble. And Reuben broke in. Didn't I tell you, don't hurt the boy? But no, you wouldn't listen, and now we're paying for his murder. Joseph had been using an interpreter, so they didn't know that Joseph was understanding every word. Joseph turned away from them and cried. And my kids were asking me, but why did he cry? And obviously there's no true way to know why he was crying. But I was saying to them, there could be a number of factors. It could be that he's sad that they don't recognize him, but also my young daughter said maybe it was because she realized at least one of the brothers stuck up for her. And what a difference it makes when you realize that someone was trying to stand up for you, and in these times of difficulty, to try and be the one that stands up for someone who is vulnerable and someone who needs someone to be your protector. He was the oldest brother, and as such should have done perhaps a bit more to stick up for his brother. But Joseph has this weird conundrum in his head of, well, he did try and stick up for me, but at the same time it was part of God's plan for me to be here so I could save my brothers and so many people and so many lives. And the thought of, I guess, difficulties have a reason, and difficulties lead to something good at the end. Not always, but often, sometimes. And that we need to look at our difficulties in life and try and find the positive from them, hopefully eventually, but also to stick up for those people who need people to stick up to them when people are being bullies. So I invite you to do that, and have a lovely day.